Ooh, girl, in this episode, the excrement most certainly hits the multi-bladed spinning device used to cool oneself. Or in other words, in this episode, shit really hits the fan. Welcome back to the Kiki. My name is Chris. Thank you so much for joining me again this week for our fabulous little RuPaul's Drag Race recap show called #The Kiki. So yeah, welcome back. First things first, make sure you hit that subscribe button down there. Come join our little fabulous family. So let's get straight into episode, what is this, 7? Oh my gosh, we're almost at the end of the finish line, guys, of RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars 2, or should it be RuPaul's Best Friend Alaska Race? I don't know anymore. But with this episode, that whole, you know, obviously there's been a lot of chatter about the whole, like, it's been rigged for Alaska, but this episode kind of, like, lifted the lid a little bit and be like, it's not really, like, completely set up for her. So we're going to talk about Alaska a bit later. So let's get into this properly, shall we? Boom. So the girls come back into the workroom. Alaska is giving some really crazy bullshit reason why she kicked off Tatiana and kept Roxxxy. She's like, oh, she lent me this top. It wasn't even a nice top. Like, it did nothing for you, darling. So Roxxxy ain't doing you no favours. Sorry about it. Detox is getting annoyed about something, I'm not entirely sure what. I wasn't thorough enough with my notes today. But there's a really interesting bit in the confessionals where Alaska is very aware that the other girls might try and kick her off. And she's like, you know, if they were me, I'd want to kick me off. You know, so maybe like some foreshadowing, but we will see if she lands in the bottom 2. But it certainly is interesting that if the queens kind of keep with this voting in terms of who did the worst, if Alaska lands in the bottom 2, will they get rid of her? Although she's been very strong, obviously Alyssa has kind of gone for this more consistency approach, whereas the others are kind of stuck for who did the worst. Well, if Alaska ends in the bottom 2, are they going to get rid of her? Who knows? We'll have to see if she lands there. So the main challenge is, it's the makeover challenge, and they have to make over their actual family. This isn't even drag family. This is their actual sisters, mothers, grandmothers, abuelas, cousins, seconds, twice removed, best friends, auntie kind of realness. So they're all coming in. You can tell this is going to be an emotional episode. Like, Detox is already crying in the corner somewhere, and she hasn't even seen her sister, who's called Heather, by the way. So maybe now Stacey Lane Matthews finally knows who Heather is, because remember that whole thing in like Untucked, who the fuck is Heather? To be fair, I've still not even seen the movie. I can only assume that it's fabulous, but I don't watch films. I'd say it's against my religion. It's not at all. But people are like, why don't you watch films? I can't sit still for 2 hours. Like, hello, this is me. And I don't stop talking throughout films. So no one ever watches a film with me because I'm just like, what did they say? And then, no, it goes wrong. So they have all these people come in, blah, blah, blah. Roxy's grandmother mum has this adorable little t-shirt on, and Katya's mother, Pat, should it be Katya and Patya? That'd be funny. She's hilarious. Really sweet, but really, really funny. And when she's like, oh, who's going to be the peasant mum? Obviously Katya. Anyway, Alyssa has a moment with her sister because they're getting over the passing of their mother. That day is the eve of the 1-year anniversary, and then the runway means it will be the 1-year anniversary. That's a rough day. Like that, it's the first year is always rough. Like, you know, speaking from experience, it's horrible. So I completely sympathise with how tough it is. I mean, it's just that the whole episode is so emotional. Like, I was just there like, oh God, like, I don't do crying. Like, I can't afford the wrinkles, but I was like welling. Don't let it pass the waterline, darling, but I was welling. And then, like, oh, Roxy's mum is adorable. Like, I love, is it Sonia? She's so adorable. And she's like, look, at least she finished high school. And I'm like, you sure? Ooh, girl. So, Alaska also opens up about, I'm assuming, past substance abuse and that kind of thing, because part of me, when she started talking about how, like, she sort of, like, prostituted herself out and was on all these drugs and stuff. At first I thought she was joking, and then I'm like, hang on, is she serious? So I think she has had a somewhat checkered history. So it was interesting to see that she's opened up a bit more about that kind of aspect of her life. And it's good to see her, if that is what she's gone through, to come out the other side stronger for it. So that's nice. But it's interesting, she says to her mother that she's won 4 challenges. Are they including mini challenges? I don't get it. Because even Detox earlier said she has won 2. And I'm like, I don't think you have. So, excuse me, because obviously she was in the top with Alyssa, but Alyssa won that one. And I don't think she'd been in the top since. So I was like, how are they working this out? I don't really get it. So can anyone elucidate for me? Because Alaska didn't come top 4 times. She was in the top 3 times. Am I getting confused? I'm not sure what's going on anymore. So there's like blah, blah, blah. They're getting their outfits together. Detox and her have a really clear connection. Alyssa and Tabitha's story is very emotional. Like it really like hit me because it's kind of like current for me. And then Ru drops the bombshell that he always does. I don't even know why they're surprised anymore. One last little detail I forgot to mention. They all have to do Vogue performances. I am #living for it. So iconic. So they're like planning it all together. And then Anastasia Suare turns up, who's the, I'm assuming, owner of Anastasia Beverly Hills. And she turns up to help them with their brows. I'm like, girl, where were you in season 8 when Derek Barry needed you most? Is it like, you know, in like one of those little things, like, you know, like a shillelagh or an Irish flute or something, you have to like play it and then the leprechaun appears? With Anastasia, do you have to kind of like pop a mascara or something and then wave it in a certain way and she appears to help you like the fairy makeup mother? I don't know, but either way, Derek Barry needed to help more than the ones on All Stars, because honey, if you don't know how to do brows and you're on All Stars, well, let's be real, if you can't do brows, you won't be getting on All Stars. So, sorry about it. So blah, 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 we go to the runway. Ru's dress is giving me everything. Maybe not the cut of the dress, but the fabric. I just want to like decorate my house in that fabric, just line the walls with it, just all the walls. Wouldn't that make a fabulous backdrop? Like glitter sparkles and all that kind of stuff. Very season 5 reminiscent, whatever. Or was it season 4? I think it was season 4, wasn't it? Ooh, I'm losing my touch. So then the voguing, it was really good fun. I think overall Detox and Alyssa ruled that one. Alaska didn't really vogue. Let's be really real. Alaska didn't vogue. All the others were like doing, you know, I mean, I can't vogue at all, but Alaska just was like dancing in a tutu with her mother and then put on a horse mask. I'm like, oh wait, no, she's done that before. Also, while we're on the topic of that, the way that Alaska's done all her lip syncs this time is like identical, and she read Serena for it in season 5, like, oh look, Serena did the splits. Oh wait, no, she did that last time. I'm like, you've done all the things the same each time, including like licking the contestants. Whatever. So, #just saying. So, Alyssa and her sister, they come out on stage and bitch, they do purse first. They walk out into the room purse first. And obviously they wouldn't have known that that was a thing. So I love the fact that she's just doing it anyway. I miss purse first. We need to invent something that like I can use that's not like a clutch bag, that I can use to just walk around and, you know, do it first. So yeah, if you have any ideas of what I can use, because I like the idea of, you know, what, as Bob said, you know, find out what you love and what you're best at and then walk into the world pursed first. I'm like, pursed first? Purse first, not pursed first. Whatever. Alaska, I like that she called her mother Hawaii. That's basically all I wrote. I didn't really like the outfits. I thought they were a bit plain. You know, I think it was a decent makeover, but compared to how much the others turned it out, I was just like, I don't know, I just feel like Alaska had gotten a bit comfortable. Detox turned it, oh my god, amazing job. Were those dresses from Marco Marco? Because that was very much that kind of style, and they just suited both of them down. The makeup was phenomenal, the entire makeup was just sublime and superb. All the subs, whatever. Katya, Oh my god, the looks are amazing. The story is brilliant. You really get a feel of the story, even though they're not talking about what the story is. Presentation is absolutely hilarious. Roxxxy and Sonia looked stunning, especially in the Vogue thing. That was like really, really cool. The leopard print, it was cute. It was cute. Not the best, not the worst. So the critiques, Alaska gets caught out. Like they said, like, you know, really, you weren't up to scratch. The makeover isn't as good as the others. It's not as dramatic. It's actually quite simple. It's just a bit of fabric wrapped around a corset and your mum's wearing flip-flops. No. So I was like, oh, brutal, especially in front of their parents. Like, oh, it's like parents' night at school all over again. I don't know about you guys, wherever you've been, if you have parents' night, I'm sure you do. But in the UK, most parents' nights are just the parents and the teachers. The kids kind of get left at home. But at my school, the kid, like, you were with your parents and with the teacher, and they're saying how it is in front of you and in front of your parents. And you're like, oh god, over like champagne and canapes, because my school was posh. Hence, but yeah, hence the accent at least, if nothing else. Yeah, so that's like brutal. So I don't know if that is how it is in your schools, but yeah, I was certainly like, you know, it's unusual for me to have been in that situation. So I can kind of be like, oh my god, like that's rough to be like bad mouthed in front of your parents. But luckily, I wasn't bad mouthed at school by my teachers, at least not in front of my face, maybe behind the scenes, who knows. Shady bitches. So Detox and Katya are in the top 2, all the others are in the bottom 3, bottom 2, I don't even know anymore. It could be a bottom 1 with just Roxxxy Andrews, and I think Santina would still be sent home again. Shade. So yeah, I'm just getting a bit confused with now, why is it top 3, why is it top 2, blah, blah. No, bottom 3, bottom 2. Consistency. So it's a bit awkward for Detox, because obviously 2 members of Realness that, obviously Realness isn't a thing, but 2 members of them are there along with Alyssa, and everyone knows that Alaska did the worst that week, but Roxxxy is there again, but her and Detox are best friends, and then Alyssa is like sort of stuck in the middle. And I actually wrote here, surely Alyssa is safe, because I thought it'd be between Roxxxy and Alaska. Although I don't think Roxxxy necessarily deserved to be down there, the fact that she was in the bottom again, it was like 5 out of 7. Honey, perfect score. If you get that reference, kudos, you get brownie points. You can add those onto the tally. If you don't get it, you need to Google it. 5 out of 7, perfect score. So the girls go back stage, and this is where the excrement hits the spinning bladed object. Alaska completely shuts down. Okay, this is intense viewing at the best of times, because hello, Detox versus Alaska, Roxxxy and Alyssa, and Katya's just like, oh no, hang on, I'm getting a bit too far. Katya's also in the top 2. Katya's just like, she's good with whatever, because she's not that close to any of them. She actually even talks to Alaska, and Alaska's obviously in the process of shutting down, and Alaska's like, I need to be here, I need to finish this competition, and Katya's just like, party. Which is ice cold, because obviously at the beginning, Alaska threw some shade at her, calling her a Delano. And it's like, ooh, okay. So yeah, they go backstage, it all gets really rough. Alaska completely shuts down, takes off half her drag, and it just gets intense, do you know what I mean? And I'm just sat there like, oh god, this is just awkward and cringe, and like, Alaska is coming off really bad. And like, the notes that I wrote here, I've got a lot of notes about this thing, because I thought it was going to stop. I was like, oh, she's taken off her hat. Oh, she's taken off her wig. Oh, she's taken out her bobby pins. Oh, she's taken off her shoes. Oh, God, she's taken it all off. Oh, okay. And it just carried on. So I just kept writing. I was like, this can't be. And it just keeps going on. Just keeps going on. So Alaska totally shuts down, gets out of drag. Deliberations are tough. Alaska is just whinging and moaning, and has completely, like, she got a bit of criticism, okay. But she's just completely like closed off, and she's convinced that she's going home. And the way that she's trying to stay just comes across as selfish. You know, I need to be here. I need to finish the competition. I need to get in the top 4. And it's like, well, you know, Coco Montrese would have kind of liked the same courtesy be extended to her, and so would Ginger Minge and, you know, all the others, but they're not there because it's competition. If you did shit, then you go home. And it just came off really brutal and very harsh and very bratty. I understand there's a lot of pressure, but it was ridiculous and whatever. So it's interesting though, because Alaska was the one that instigated the whole kind of, let's make it fair, send home the one that does the worst. If they stuck with Alaska's own idea, Alaska would be the one going home. Alyssa mixed it up halfway through and decided to bring in the idea of consistency to keep Katya. And that has played a bit more of an effect. So then it's a case of, well, out of consistency, Roxxxy has done the worst because she's been in the bottom 5 times out of 7. But also then Alyssa went home and came back, although technically she didn't actually miss anything. So in the same way that Alaska got rid of Tati because of it, they can't really use the same principle on Alyssa. She's kind of stuck in the middle, and I felt she would be safe. And it just the Alaska breakdown #tantrumgate just keeps going on. It is absolutely shocking behaviour. She's trying to bribe the queens with cash, like $10,000 through PayPal before taxes. And like, is she joking? I can't tell. This is the thing, because she's completely like shut off. I can't tell if she's joking. And if it's a joke, it's a pretty poorly timed joke. I don't feel like she's joking. If I'm honest, if she was, I'm sorry, Alaska, but it came across as if she was serious. And that made me feel very unsettled, because it's like, this isn't pay to win. You can't like cash in 10 grand and use it as an exemption. This isn't Celebrity Mole Hawaii. This is, you know, play fair. So it's very intense. Which way is it going to go? So the lip sync. Side note, Detox looks fierce. It's a funny lip sync. But it's still a little lacking. I've said this all along. The lip syncs have been quite lacking, apart from Tati's and Alyssa's, because they actually had something to fight for, which is coming back. I really felt that this lip sync, more than any of the others, like, I felt that neither one of them wanted to win. I think both of them were kind of gunning for second place. No one wanted to send home anyone. Although I do think Katya was trying to serve a little bit more. I think Detox was trying to be a bit more inhibited, but it ended up meaning that she still won. So she won the lip sync, and she stood there and she's getting very emotional, and I'm like, this is it. She's sending home Alaska. Like, this is the moment, and it's going to be ridiculous. And she sends home Alyssa. I was gagged. I was absolutely gagged. Even RuPaul was like, despite the fact that she knew in advance what the two queens have picked, but it's still a shocking moment. I genuinely thought she would get rid of Alaska. I thought Alyssa was safe. I had even written it down previously. I thought Alyssa was safe. I thought it was completely down to one of the two Alaska Tox queens. And it's ended up as season 5 all over again. 3 members of Alaska Tox and a lovable weirdo. So it has added a whole new dynamic, because are we then, because of basically what's happened with Alaska is that her tantrum has given even more power to the people who are questioning Alaska's almost integrity within the competition, not as a person, but within the competition, because a lot of people online have been saying that All Stars 2 feels very rigged, very set up, in the same way that they felt the same thing with Chad in All Stars 1. It does feel that Alaska's gotten away with a lot that others have been picked up on for less. And so, and as I said last episode, because it was quite divisive that Alaska sent home Tatiana instead of Roxxxy, I was trying to be really open and honest about everything, was that I felt that that was out of her control. The only thing that Alaska had control over there was who she sent home. Ru could have not put Alaska in the top 2. Ru could have not chosen Alaska to win the lip sync, and all those kind of bits in between. because I don't think Alaska won that lip sync by any means. But again, all of that stuff to get her to that point to make the decision was out of her control. So we can't really read her for that too much, apart from we can read her for the choice that she made. And I think Roxxxy should have been sent home. And it's funny because Roxxxy has like 3 X's in it, which is basically the amount of time she should have been sent home already. But I have grown to like Roxxxy. I wasn't a huge fan of her before, but I actually really like Roxxxy. But she has kind of been dragged through this competition by Alaska. But this episode, so yeah, last episode there was a lot of flack, but most of it, 90% of it was out of her own control. This time around, whole different story. Everything is on her shoulders, and the fact that she completely shut down that's not out of her control. That is entirely her. I get it. When you have a bad day, yeah, things look shit, and the world kind of comes collapsing down around you, and we all been there, girl. We all been there, but you are such a strong competitor and such a strong queen. Why all of a sudden are you now shutting down at the first sign of critique? Like, the first little bit. All the other queens have had a lot worse critique, and they were like, bitch, I'm just going to get on with it. And you just completely shut down and started bribing queens to keep you. It didn't look good. And I'm worried, because I love Alaska. Yes, I do have my own questions over the sort of how, if it isn't rigged, if it is rigged, that kind of thing, how much Alaska's gotten away with, put it that way. I've had my own questions about that. But this is an entirely separate thing, and I'm really worried that this is going to affect her in terms of her personality and in a personal level, because it doesn't look professional. It doesn't look fair. It just looks a bit bad. It does look bad. I hope she was joking about the PayPal thing, but it came across like she was serious. And I think a lot of people have then used this to fuel the fires of kind of anti-Alaska sentiment that has built up from the last episode. And there is now, I think, a divide, because people going into this were like very much pro-Alaska, and I think she's going to come out of this, if she's not careful next episode, I think she's going to walk away from this experience in a worse position than she started off, which is horrible, because she doesn't deserve it. But had it not looked so set up, would this tantrum have looked worse or better? I don't know. And would it have affected people as much? I don't know. But it's a shame that it's happened. And I kind of want to remind everyone that there's like a person behind it all, but at the same time, that person was the one that said some very weird things in a competition to try and stay. It just doesn't look good. It really doesn't. So now everyone is kind of going for Team Katya, because they're saying, Roxxxy's, come on, let's be real, Roxxxy's not going to get it. Detox has a bit of a chance, but it's between Katya and Alaska. They've both been in the top a lot, and everyone is voting for Katya on Twitter and stuff. Like, her retweets and stuff is through the roof, and the others are way behind. So it's this whole tantrum thing is kind of, it was shocking. I wasn't expecting it. I really hope Alaska doesn't leave the competition, in terms of when it's all said and done, looking worse than when she came in, because she came in with an amazing career behind her. And I don't want all this pettiness that has kind of built up over the last couple of seasons from the drama. Like, Fifi Gate a couple of weeks ago. Do you remember that? It's unnecessary. You don't need all that kind of crap. And this kind of basic drama, drama is fun, but you've got to understand it's TV, it's just drag, it's a reality show. You've got to kind of have a separation from it. It's not real. But when that mentality is used with something like this situation, and especially something as powerful as this tantrum, it can be quite devastating on a career. So I think Alaska has to be careful what she says and does over the next few weeks to ensure that people that she's still the lovable character that we fell in love with. Because she is lovely, she's talented, she's fierce. I don't want to see her, fall away. So, yeah, I've rambled on enough about that, because how long are we up to? Oh, we're not too bad at the moment. So, yeah, I think now it's a case of, I think they've already filmed the crowning, but I think they've probably filmed multiple crownings. I think as well, though, that they've done the reunion, and I think they filmed the reunion just after episode 5, so before this Alaska resentment built up. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. Can Alyssa, I keep doing this. Can Alaska be beaten? I think she could be by Katya. Obviously, both of them have been in the top an equal amount of times. Katya never won a lip sync, but Alaska has won all the money. Will she win the crown? Who knows? If it's already been filmed and the reunion's happened, then they must have already decided who is the winner. Potentially. Who knows? I don't know. They may go through the whole thing and be like, we haven't decided yet, and then they might still crown someone else. But it's certainly thrown a spanner in the works. I think everyone was pretty much dead set on the idea that Alaska was going to win, whether they wanted her to or not. I was quite ambivalent. I was like, she's a fierce, talented queen. She kind of deserves the crown. And if we're talking about the competition, Alaska and Katya both certainly deserve the crown. I'm most worried about Alaska's, what's the word I'm looking for? Reputation post-show. Because obviously we've seen that certain queens are probably going to have a glittering career afterwards, like Tatiana and Alyssa. They've shown themselves to be phenomenal queens, and they've built up a whole new following because of it. Katya probably the same as well. Is Alaska going to have some repercussions? I hope there isn't, but she has to, I think, kind of prove that her tantrum was just a bad moment and not a real reflection of her personality. If she can't prove that, and it really is that kind of case, and she does kind of do that, maybe there's some kind of work that could be done there to sort of, because, we all have our bad days. We all have a moment where someone says something and you just like shut down. It's not nice, it's not great, but you've got to be able to like pull yourself out of it quite quickly. And it just was a bit stark because of how hard she took it compared to how all the others have taken it in previous weeks. So, and obviously don't forget in season 5, she never landed in the bottom. She never had to lip sync. So really, this is like the first time on the show that she's ever had any really bad critique. So maybe that's part of the reason that she's just not used to it. And that's not her fault because she's so damn good. Maybe it's that. So, yeah, it's interesting. It's certainly a spanner in the works, but we will see. I feel like I've rambled on way too much, but yeah, ultimately, it wasn't a great look for her, the tantrum. I just hope it doesn't affect her career, because she is talented and fierce, and I don't want all this basic petty drama, be like, oh my god, yeah, bitch, like, I get it. Just don't let these little things kind of become a bigger thing. Like, I think everyone who knows what I'm talking about gets what I'm talking about. So yeah, I think it's time to wrap this one up before next week, where I think they do the finale. So, oh my god, top 4. Who's gonna win? Who do you want to win? Hashtag team whatever. Are you team Alaska, team Detox, team Roxxxy, or team Katya? Drop in the comments below. Make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you drop me a thumbs up as well. And follow me on social media. I have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Search for Chris Says It, you should find me. I think that's everything. Oh, and I also have Patreon. So if you want to see all my videos 24 hours in advance, you can do so via my Patreon, patreon.com/Chris Says It. All the details are going to be in there anyway, so just like click down there. So yeah, what did you think about Tantrum Gate? What did you think about the episode? Very emotional episode. What do you think about it all? Let me know. Let's get talking, guys. So thank you so much for joining me again this week. I really appreciate it. And I will see you guys real soon. So, oh my gosh, we're almost at the end of the finishing line. And then it's only a couple of months and it all starts over again in March. So, whoop whoop. The fun never stops. How do I keep doing the Kiki? It's crazy. It's just, oh my god. So, yeah, until next week, next time. I will see you guys later. Take care, stay fierce, stay fabulous, keep out of trouble, all that jazz, you know what I'm talking about. And I will see you guys later. Take care, love you, bye! Mwah! I think we can start from this.
Yeah?
You look really bored.
Well, yeah. You made
Thanks.
me buy really cheap white Primark underwear.